Good afternoon. We're ready to talk about analytics and hope everyone's doing well today. My name is Chad McDaniel. I'm the president and founder of Execs in the Know. We run a large corporate community around the multi-channel. We do benchmarking, we do different thought leadership seminars and many other ways to engage our leaders today in multi-channel. But we have a great panel today, and it will take a minute. We're just going to introduce our panelists. So we'll start with you, Josh, if you could introduce yourself and your organization and what you have responsibility for.
Sure. So my name is Josh Chapman. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Cars.com. I've worked in the industry for about 20 years, always in contact centers.
And congratulations on the award last night.
Thank
your
you.
organization.
Thank you. Team did a great job.
Thank you. Great to have you.
Hi there, Juliette Poncello. I work for the Learner Support Center. I'm the director of the Learner Support Center at Thomas Edison State College. Our call center has been in existence about 18 months, and we are very excited to be here at the ICMI conference.
Hi, I'm Paul Sewell, Senior Director of Communications and Intelligence at OpenSpan. We're based in Atlanta, and we offer desktop automation and activity intelligence solutions for the contact center. It's great to be here.
And Paul, congratulations to you and your client organization for that award last night too. So
Thank
great
you.
job.
Awesome. Thanks.
So let's dive right in, and either one, we'll start off with whoever wants to jump in. So we hear about text analytics, speech analytics, agent desktop analytics. We could probably throw a few more in there, but it all seems overwhelming. Where do we first invest in, or where should we look at? How would you respond to that question? Thoughts or comments?
Well, I can say from experience, when I joined Cars.com, we didn't have a lot of analytics that were going on, so we started with speech. It seemed like there was the greatest opportunity there with the amount of volume we had coming through, so we implemented that a little over a year ago, and we found out a lot of key information, so that would be my recommendation.
Speech.
Yes, speech.
Okay.
Well, from our perspective, I mean, we work with companies that have done all three of those. I think the most important thing is ask yourself, what is the business impact that you want to have? I think text analytics is very important when you're talking about identifying areas where you can improve products or services. But when you're talking about the customer journey as a whole, those transactions, each transaction makes up that customer journey, and those occur on the desktop. So if you're able to get into that intelligence that occurs from each transaction into the technology, how are they interacting with the customer, and what have the outcomes been? Understanding that is where you can actually have the greatest impact as far as the desktop and having that intelligence.
And I would say at Thomas Edison State College, it would be the speech analytics. In addition to providing an exceptional customer experience, my job is to make sure that my team has the tools to do their job as easy as possible, because being on the phones all day can be a very challenging job. So using the speech analytics to identify the reasons that people are calling us, and then creating improvements in the ways that students can interact with us without having to call us, makes the student experience easier and my team's experience easier.
So it's interesting, the two end users started their investing in the speech analytics. We talked about the different, text and desktop and speech. And Paul, you work with a number of different client organizations. Obviously, you're going to see all three. Is there any particular one that's more inherently difficult than the other, or it probably depends, but would you have any thoughts about some of the clients that you're working with there?
Well, from that perspective, it just depends on how simple you approach a project. Our methodology, we start with don't bite off more than you can chew. So start simple, and our solutions enable you to test with a certain group of agents and then roll out to the greater population of your agent base. So start simple and build iteratively. That's where we've seen companies achieve the greatest amount of success.
So I'll stick with you on this next question, Paul, if I may. How important do you find the combination of screen capture alongside voice recording? So for example, some say that the growth of non-voice channels, that screen capture will become even more important than recording. So the question would be, How important do you find combination of screen capture along voice recording that you've seen?
You know, the traditional quality monitoring, being able to capture screens and what they're doing on the desktop is very important. You are able to see, help, and able to improve coaching-wise and developing those agents. I think with the multi-channel, yes, we're getting more text, more mobile applications. That whole multi-channel thing element is very important. I see it being more important to understand where they're coming from. So if they're coming into the contact center or they're calling in, where did they go before? Did they go to self-service and were they not able to get their question answered? Or did they try the mobile app and they weren't able to get that? So being able to have that visibility of where they've been and what can you do once they're there to offer them the best experience possible.
Yeah, I really want to touch on that because I think that's totally true. I completely agree with it. I think it's really important when we're thinking about social to understand that question. Where are they coming from? Is social their channel of preference, or did they get there because they tried to contact you through another channel that failed? So I couldn't agree more. That's huge, and I think screen capture is, I think we forget about it sometimes because we associate it with quality monitoring of phone calls, but that ability to capture the screen and dig in to understand how people are coming to you is vital.
Right, it talks about just the mapping of the journey of the student from our perspective, how they're getting to us, so that we can make sure that our systems are working in conjunction with each other the way that they should be to allow that frictionless experience for our student when they're interacting with the college.
Perfect. Anyone in the audience doing screen capture recording simultaneously or experience with that? Yes, over there. How's that working? Anything you want to add to that, or? Okay, well that's good to hear. All right, so let's move on. Juliet, we'll start with you. How can analytics help identify the root cause of customer behavior and contacts that you've seen within your organization? You're doing the speech analytics and other pieces, but how has that helped you identify the root cause of some of the customer behavior and success?
Well, we use it as a tool to identify areas where the student is needing additional information that they're not able to get themselves through self-service. And then we use our tools going forward to say, okay, these are the top 5 areas that students are still continuing to reach out to us for. Why? Is it because they really maybe it's related to money and they really want to talk to a specific person about that because it's something that's very important to them? Or is there a hiccup in our system somewhere that's making them not able to use the systems the way that they should? So we use our speech analytics to drive our behavior in the future.
Well, I think what's interesting, the way we've approached speech analytics, I mean, we've looked at it from an operations and contact center standpoint, but we've used it a lot to drive insights to the rest of our business. So I'm not going to go into our whole business model, but recently at Cars.com, we rolled out a new product that we're selling into car dealerships, and we have a sales force around the country that goes in and sells to these dealers. And one of the struggles with this new product was that we can't sell into the normal contacts at the car dealership who we interact with, which are usually the folks who advertise for car sales. This is a service-related product, and we were really struggling. Our sales team was to get in and get the attention of the dealership. So we used our account management team, which is in operations. We did over 2,000 calls over the course of 3 months, and we were able to come back to them using our speech analytics tool and say, this is the person in the dealership you need to talk to. You are 4 times more likely if you can get to the service manager, even though they don't have the buying decision on the advertising, they influence the GM's decision on where they're going to spend the money. So we could take that data out of our speech analytics system and go back to sales and say, here are the people you need to be targeting. You can't go talk to the used car manager or the internet sales manager at the dealership. They're not the ones driving this decision.
It's a good example. And Paul, the question again was, how can analytics help identify the root cause of customer behavior and contacts? I know you work with a lot of organizations. Any insight you'd like to share?
I think a lot of it has to do, both very valid points there, but from our standpoint, the activities that you're able to capture from the desktop down to a level of granularity of field level where the agent is interacting with the customer, are there pieces of your technology and processes that are not fulfilling and closing the loop
Exactly.
on the for that experience. So it's great to have the intelligence, regardless of if it's dealing with the people, the process, or the technologies to close that loop.
The next question, a little bit similar, but a different twist. A question?
Okay, so I don't have speech analytics, so maybe my question, the answer would be obvious if I did. But what's the difference between how you're describing you would use analytics versus tracking call reasons? So tracking why the person called. It feels like it's very similar to at least the two on the end about how you're using speech analytics. Can you kind of help me understand what's the difference there?
Sure. So we use speech analytics to validate that, to see why folks are contacting us. But we also use a CRM tool where we ask our folks to capture it, which usually, I guess the difference is if you need to know very quickly if you're seeing changes, speech analytics can tell you what's trending, what's happening from the phone calls that are coming in. The CRM tool that we have usually just gives us a little more detail, and if you want to get to that detail through speech, it takes a lot of manpower. I mean, doing a call study and going through and really understanding it, whereas CRM sometimes will be faster to give you more insights. But if you want to see an immediate cause, speech is great. If you need something in the short term, so not immediately, but CRM for us a little bit faster, but it's not as accurate because you're counting on other people to manually indicate why
Translate.
someone contacted us.
Yeah, awesome.
And after the panel, any one of the panelists will be available to spend some more time on. And great question. Thank you for asking that. So the previous question was about analytics and the root cause of customer behavior. The next question I want to ask, a little bit different twist, is analytics can be paramount in identifying service recovery options. How have you seen this work? So from a service recovery option, any suggestions, ideas, or examples?
I go back to the understanding the transaction and where in the history where has the breakdown of the experience gone awry. And so if you have that intelligence or you're able to trace that lineage of the experience, then you're able to more effectively provide the recovery that's needed more effectively.
Okay. Go with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go with that. Nothing to add.
We'll go with that, Paul. All right. So last question I'd like to ask the group, and then we'll leave with a couple departing comments here. In your opinion, Josh, does the analytics role best belong in workforce optimization or in a business insights type of team?
So we have it. I can see it working in either. In our case, we have it where it's in what we call strategic initiatives, which is business insights. So we've chosen to do it that way. They work very closely with our workforce optimization team and our training and our quality teams. They all work very closely together, but we chose to put it there. And it really came out of the implementation. As we were implementing it, we felt like we wanted it to be a little more standalone, and we were worried if we put it in workforce optimization, it would kind of get overshadowed and it wouldn't get as much attention because there is so much emphasis on WFM.
Good example.
And we're such a small group that we house everything under the contact center, so we work very closely with our MAS department, our training and development, and our operations, all within the same umbrella.
I think it's a marriage between the two, because if you've got the workforce optimization group, that you're mainly looking at the contact center, but from our perspective, the business group has to have a role there because you're actually, how are you impacting the business there? What initiatives are you implementing desktop analytics to improve and have immediate impact? And so I think having that joint ownership is critical for it to be successful.
Agree. So, in closing, and for the recording, restate your name, your company, how we get a hold of you. But my question would be, outside of that, any overarching comments, motivational, when you think of analytics, where do I get started, how do I get started, or words of encouragement, suggestions, best practice, any words of wisdom you'd like to share on the departing here. So Josh?
Okay, so I'm Josh Chapman, Vice President of Operations at Cars.com. I think one parting comment, it kind of goes back to the example I was giving earlier about speech. Speech is very valuable. There's a lot of different ways to use it. When we first started, we were very internally focused. How could we improve our quality? How could we understand our customers contacting us so it could drive improvements within our contact center? The one thing I would challenge folks on, though, if you're thinking of any of the analytics tools, but in my case, I'm specific to speech, think about how you can drive insights to the rest of the business, to product teams, to marketing teams, to sales teams, because, you know, there's so much information. We talk to more people in a contact center than any other part of our organization is going to talk to in a day, in a week, in a month. So if you approach it that way and you make that a priority, you can really increase the value that is perceived from your contact center throughout the rest of the organization, and it's huge. So that would be my one tip.
Great tip.
That's great. Julia Pancello, Director of the Learner Support Center at Thomas Edison State College. And I would agree. I would say that we use the speech analytics as a tool, and it does provide value. We are the front door of the institution. You are the front door of Cars.com. So you have invaluable information that you can drive decisions in all of the other departments within the organization that you work for. And then not only do you have the anecdotal evidence, now you've got the data-driven evidence that will also allow people to respect your insights and allow them to make decisions based on some historical data.
Paul Sewell with OpenSpan. I think that from an inspirational standpoint, Group O is the perfect example. Our customer who won the award last night for best use of technology, their CSAT scores, their handle time, every metric that they had that they were measuring in the call center, everything was trending positively. However, their executive team understood that they wanted to push the needle to the next level of service excellence. And so they took a step and wanted to understand what their agents were doing and what were their struggles. And then they were able to, using that intelligence, deploy automation and intelligent desktop solutions that have streamlined and made their center much more efficient and they are generating higher revenues.
Well, we're out of time and it goes very quickly, but I think, first of all, thank you so much for your insights, and let's give a big hand of applause to our panelists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the show, folks. Thank you.
Thank you.